welcome in everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good NFL weekend and peace be upon you all. So, the wait is finally over. The 2025 NFL season has begun. We had some amazing action over the weekend in week one. So, in today's show, we're going to take a look at the games that happened in NFL Week 1. We're going to see who won. We're going to take a look at some of the numbers from the players and who stood out. And I'm just going to give my general take on the games and on the players. So I'm so excited and happy that the NFL season is finally here. It definitely brings joy to my life and hopefully yours as well. So after each week of NFL action, I'm going to be making a video and talking about the games and players. And I'll do that until the end of the season, until the Super Bowl. So I'm very excited about that. And before we do get started with NFL Week 1, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I create content about money, sports, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to other people's lives. So if you guys do find value in this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. All right, let's go ahead and jump into NFL Week 1. So the season kicked off on Thursday, where we had a matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. And in this one, the Eagles got a win 24-20. So let's take a look at some of the numbers from the players here. So for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott went 21 for 34, 188 yards. And their two running backs, Javante Williams, Miles Sanders, they both had over 50 yards rushing, and Williams also had two touchdowns. And the receivers for Dallas, CeeDee Lamb had 7 receptions, 110 yards. And their new wide receiver, George Pickens, had 3 receptions for 30 yards. So this was a good game to kick off the NFL season. It kind of got off to a rough start, though, where one of the players for the Eagles got injured, and then also one of the players for the Philadelphia Eagles got kicked out of the game because he spit on Dak Prescott. And we also had a weather delay in this game as well. So a lot of different things going on in this one. But nonetheless, it was still a good game to watch. So I was definitely interested in this game. Just wanted to see how Dallas Cowboys would respond now that they traded Micah Parsons. And as far as the Philadelphia Eagles, I just kind of wanted to compare them to their last game and last season, just to see if they're a very similar team or if they're better or worse. So I was definitely watching this game. My impressions were that the Dallas Cowboys were a little better than I expected. They played pretty well on offense. Dak Prescott, he had a solid game, nothing too exciting though. And also their receivers and running backs played well. And then on their defense, they actually did a pretty good job with Saquon Barkley. Um, so you didn't notice that they missed out on Micah Parsons in this game. So I was positively surprised by the Dallas Cowboys. And for the Eagles, let's take a look at some of their numbers real quick. So Jalen Hurts went 19 for 23, 152 yards. He also had 14 carries for 62 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries for 60 yards. He had 1 touchdown. And a few of their receivers had multiple receptions as well. So a solid game by the Eagles as well. As far as the Eagles, they were a little worse than I was expecting. Um, I think on defense, they didn't look as good as they did last year. I think they lost some key players as well. And also, like I mentioned, one of their players got thrown out of this game. So they definitely missed him as well. So a little bit of a disappointing performance by the Eagles. Even though they won the game, I thought they would dominate this one and not give the Cowboys a chance. But it was a close game, but Eagles squeeze out the win on this one. So the next game that we had was on Friday, and this was a cool game to watch because it was only on YouTube. So, and also it was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So it was just kind of a different atmosphere watching this game on YouTube. Everybody around the world had access to it, and it was just a nice change as far as watching an NFL game. So in this one, it was a big matchup between Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. So these are two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, in the AFC. So it was definitely must watch TV, and it definitely did not disappoint. So the Chargers got a big win, 27-21. So let's take a look at some of the numbers here. So for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes went 24 for 39, 258 yards, 1 touchdown. Mahomes also had 6 carries for 57 yards, 1 touchdown. And their other receivers or their other running backs, Pacheco and Hunt, did not have very good games, only 25 and 16 yards rushing apiece. And as far as receiving for the Chiefs, Marquise Brown, 10 receptions, 99 yards. Smith Schuster, 5 receptions, 55 yards. Travis Kelce, 2 receptions, 47 yards, 1 touchdown. And their speedy wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, got injured in this game. So they definitely missed out on him and his production. Let's take a look at the Chargers. So Justin Herbert went 25 for 34, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rushing, Omarion Hampton, 15 carries for 48 yards. And the receivers for the Chargers, a lot of different guys had multiple receptions. Quentin Johnson had the most yards with 79, and he also had 2 touchdowns. So this was again, an amazing game to watch. I was definitely glued to YouTube watching this one. Um, so, just my impressions from the game. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win this game just because I've just learned not to go against Patrick Mahomes, and especially with how they played last season and the years prior to that. They're just too good to go against. And I just thought that the Chargers were still not quite there. I thought that Justin Herbert is still maybe just a little too young, but I was definitely surprised with this one. I mean, Mahomes played amazing. He had some crazy plays where he's falling on the ground, and before he does, he tosses the football and gets a pass to one of his receivers. That was crazy to see. And the Chiefs played really well, but the Chargers and Justin Herbert, they just really kind of shocked me. Like, I didn't realize they were going to play this well. I mean, Justin Herbert, in my opinion, he looked better than Patrick Mahomes in this game. And he was just throwing dimes and lasers all over the field. He used his legs several different times, and he just looks so big and strong as a quarterback that I was just very, very impressed by Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, I think the Chargers, just from one game, like so far, they look better than the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how things go forward, but Justin Herbert, just after one game, he looked like an MVP candidate, and the Chargers look scary. So I think Kansas City has a serious threat in the Chargers this season. So next, we had a game between my hometown Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. The Bucks got a close win, 23-20 over the Falcons. Let's take a look at some of the numbers in this one. Bucks quarterback Baker Mayfield went 17 for 32, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 5 carries for 39 yards. Bucky Irving, 14 carries for 37 yards. So that's not a very good average for Bucky Irving. As far as receiving, their rookie wide receiver Emeka Ibuka had 4 receptions, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. So a good game by the rookie there. Mike Evans, the future Hall of Famer, had 5 receptions for 51 yards. And for the Falcons, quarterback Michael Penix Jr., 27 for 42, 298 yards, 1 touchdown. Rushing, Bijan Robinson, 12 carries for 24 yards. So that was not a very good performance by him. But he did have 6 receptions for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. So Bijan Robinson had a good game in the receiving game, but rushing was not very good. And also Drake London, 8 receptions for 55 yards. All right. So in this game, it was just kind of a solid game by both teams. Nothing really too exciting or too bad. Baker Mayfield, solid game. He had he didn't have the highest number of passing yards, but he did have the 3 touchdowns. And Baker's usually one of the highest quarterback numbers in the regular season. So I think he's going to do the same this year. And for the Falcons, it was kind of interesting watching Michael Penix Jr. just to see how he plays. So he had a pretty good game as well, almost 300 yards with one touchdown. So nothing too much more to say on this game, but nice win by my hometown Bucks. The next game we're going to talk about is the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. So you can see this was a close game as well. Bengals get a win 17-16. Let's take a look at some of the numbers here. For the Bengals, quarterback Joe Burrow went 14 for 23, 113 yards, one touchdown. Rushing, Chase Brown, 21 carries for 43 yards, one touchdown. And receiving, T. Higgins had 3 receptions, 33 yards. Jamar Chase, 2 receptions, 26 yards. And Noah Fant, 4 receptions for 26 yards with one touchdown. For the Browns, Joe Flacco went 31 for 45, 290 yards, one touchdown, 2 interceptions. And they didn't have a lot of good production in the rushing department. And receiving, Jerry Judy, 5 receptions, 66 yards. And Njoku had 3 receptions for 37 yards. So just kind of an okay game by each of these teams. Nothing too great. Um, I was interested in this game just because I like Joe Burrow. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the game, if not the best. And the Bengals, they usually have a very slow start to the regular season, particularly these last couple of years. And I just kind of wanted to see how they would respond in this game one, just to see if they're going to have the same pattern as before, where they lose the first few games. But in this one, they got the win, but it was very close, 17-16, and I'm sure they were expecting for a higher margin of victory, but they'll take the win. And for the Browns, I just kind of wanted to see what they look like. Joe Flacco, 40-year-old quarterback, he looked, solid, nothing too great, nothing too bad. So we'll see how the Browns season develops in the coming weeks. We'll see if they maybe make a quarterback change with Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, who have been competing in the preseason. So we'll keep an eye on the Browns to see what happens with their quarterback situation, and we'll keep an eye on the Bengals and their high powered offense as well going forward. All right, so we had a game between the Miami Dolphins and Indianapolis Colts, and the Dolphins suffer a big loss in this one. They go down 8-33 to the Colts. So big loss here. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. For the Dolphins, Tua went 14 for 23, 114 yards. He had one touchdown, 2 interceptions. Rushing, Achan had 7 carries for 55 yards. And receiving, Tyreek Hill had 4 receptions for 40 yards. Waddle, 4 receptions for 30 yards. And for the Colts, quarterback Daniel Jones, He went 22 for 29, 272 yards, one touchdown. Running back Jonathan Taylor had 18 carries for 71 yards. And looks like Daniel Jones also had two rushing touchdowns as well. And their wide receiver Michael Pittman had 6 receptions for 80 yards, and Tyler Warren had 7 receptions for 76 yards. So, good game by Daniel Jones and the Colts here. They had a quarterback competition in the preseason between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. So, good start here by Daniel Jones. We'll see if he keeps it up going forward. And the Colts look pretty good in this one. For the Dolphins, I think they're going to have a very bad season this year. I know it's just one game, but they just have different issues on their team. There's word that Tyreek Hill might be on the trade block and that their head coach is on the hot seat, that he might get fired this season. So I think the Dolphins are going to have a very bad season, but we'll see what happens. So a game I was very excited to watch was the game between the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars get a nice win, 26-10 over the Panthers. I was excited about this game. I wanted to see Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, how he would look in his first game. I wanted to see the rookie Travis Hunter, and also for the Panthers, I was interested just to see how Bryce Young, the quarterback, would play in his second season. So let's take a look at some of the numbers here. So for the Panthers, Bryce Young, 18 for 35, 154 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. And as far as receiving, their new receiver, McMillan, he had 5 receptions for 68 yards. For the Jags, Trevor Lawrence went 19 for 31, 178 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Rushing, Travis Etienne had 16 carries for 143 yards. And Tank Bigsby had 5 carries for 12 yards. As far as receiving, Travis Hunter had 6 receptions for 33 yards. And Brian Thomas Jr. only had 1 reception for 11 yards. So, kind of an okay game here by the Jags. But they did get the win, and I'm sure that's all that matters to them. So, what stood out to me in this game? I think Trevor Lawrence played well. He looked good. I was definitely impressed. I know he struggled the last few seasons, and some people don't like him as a quarterback, but I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think he's going to have a great season this year. And he's very athletic. He can use his legs. So I think that's also a big part of his game. And I think he'll have a very successful season this year. And I think the Jags will make the playoffs. Their running back, Travis Etienne, had a big run in this game. I think it was for at least 70 yards. So that was good to see. And we'll see what Travis Hunter does going forward. He kind of had an okay game in this one. We'll see if he becomes a bigger part of the offense going forward and if he and Trevor Lawrence become a dangerous duo in the NFL. For the Panthers, I mean, I think they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Bryce Young, he had a couple different interceptions. So I'm not sure. Just so far, Bryce Young might not be the long term solution for the Carolina Panthers at the quarterback position. Um, he does some good things, but he also makes serious mistakes. So we'll see what happens with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, but I think they're going to have a bad season this year. We had a matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. And in this one, the Raiders got a win 20-13. So let's take a look at some of the numbers on this one. For the Raiders, Geno Smith went 24 for 34, 362 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Rushing, Ashton Genty had 19 carries for 38 yards, one touchdown. And receiving, Brock Bowers had 5 receptions for 103 yards. For the Patriots, Drake May went 30 for 46, 287 yards, one touchdown, one interception. And they didn't get too much production from their rushing and receiving. Keishawn Booty had 6 receptions for 103 yards. All right, so solid game by each team here. Raiders get the win over the Patriots. So this was a little bit interesting to watch. Geno Smith, quarterback for the Raiders. I don't know how he's gotten like better at this point in his career. He just kind of used to be a backup a few years back, and I didn't see him progressing like he has in his NFL career, where he's a legit starter and playing pretty well as he is for Raiders. So I think the Geno Smith story is really interesting. And for the Patriots, I was just kind of interested to watch their quarterback, Drake May, just to see how he would play. So he had a okay game, 30 for 46, 287, one touchdown, one pick. So nothing too bad or too exciting about his performance, but the Patriots looks like have a long-term solution at quarterback with Drake May. So we'll see what the Patriots look like going forward. The next matchup that we had was between the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. The Cardinals get a win 20-13 over the Saints. So let's take a look at some of the numbers. So for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray went 21 for 29, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also had 7 carries and ran for 38 yards. Receiving, Marvin Harrison Jr. had 5 receptions for 71 yards and one touchdown. So a good game there by Marvin Harrison Jr. For the Saints, their quarterback Spencer Rattler went 27 for 46, 214 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And their running back Alvin Kamara had 11 carries for 45 yards with one touchdown. And as far as receiving, Jawan Johnson had 8 receptions for 76 yards. All right, so this wasn't the most exciting game to watch, but nonetheless, Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Cardinals, we'll see if he has a bounce back year this season. He's been kind of disappointing the last few years, and there's word that this might be his last season with the Cardinals. So we'll see what happens there. For the Saints, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. We'll see if their quarterback, Spencer Rattler, is a long term solution or not. So that's pretty much all on this game here. All right. So we are at the best part right now. So the team that I'm rooting for this season is the Pittsburgh Steelers because I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. So they had a big matchup versus the New York Jets. So it was Aaron Rodgers versus his former team. And this was very, very close. The Steelers squeeze out a win of 34-32. And let's take a look at the numbers on this one. So Aaron Rodgers, he went 22 for 30 for 244 yards. He had a very impressive 4 touchdown game, 0 interceptions. As far as rushing, that was very bad for the Steelers. Jalen Warren, 11 carries for 37 yards. That's not going to get it done, unfortunately. As far as receiving, DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 83 yards. Calvin Austin, 4 receptions, 70 yards with 1 touchdown. And 3 other guys had touchdowns. Skoronik, Jalen Warren, and Jonnu Smith, the tight ends. So a lot of different guys were involved in the receiving game in this one. For the Jets, Justin Fields, he went 16 for 22, 218 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had 12 carries rushing for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. And as far as receiving, Garrett Wilson had 7 receptions for 95 yards and 1 touchdown. So in this game, this was definitely must watch for me. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. He had 4 passing touchdowns, which was very impressive, 0 interceptions. DK Metcalf looked very good in the receiving game, but they definitely need to get their rushing game going. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a very successful season. I think the Steelers will make the playoffs. And as far as the Jets, I was very impressed by Justin Fields. He played a lot better than I expected. And we'll see if the Jets make some noise going forward. So the Steelers won this game last second on a 60-yard field goal by Boswell. So I was expecting the Steelers to have a bigger margin of victory. So I don't like the fact that the Jets scored 32 points on the Steelers defense. So I think the Steelers defense definitely needs to play better. But I'm so excited about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I know it's just week one, it's just one win, and it's over the Jets who played them really well and they could have won this game. But can't wait to watch the rest of the Steelers games and root for Mr. Rodgers. So we had a game between New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. So it was Russell Wilson versus Jaden Daniels. So that was a pretty cool matchup to watch. The Commanders get a win 21-6 over the Giants. So let's take a look at the numbers here. For the Giants, Russell Wilson went 17 for 37, 168 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He also ran 8 times for a total of 44 yards. And receiving, Malik Neighbors had 5 receptions for 71 yards. For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels went 19 for 30, 233 yards, 1 touchdown. And as far as receiving for the Commanders, Deebo Samuel, 7 receptions for 77 yards. All right, so a solid game here by the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. This was a cool game to check out just to see how Russell Wilson would play at this point in his career. So he didn't have the best game, but it is just one game. So with the Giants, they had a quarterback competition in the preseason where Jackson Dart, their rookie quarterback, looked really good. So I'll definitely be intrigued to see what happens with the Giants in the coming weeks. If Russell Wilson struggles, if they pull him and they put in Jackson Dart. So I'll definitely keep my eye on that scenario. For the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, it's his second season. He had probably last year the best rookie season of any quarterback. So we'll see if he repeats that this season. In this game, it was just kind of a solid game, one touchdown, zero interceptions. So he's very, very smooth on the field. He doesn't make mistakes. He's very mature and it's easy to trust him. So I think Jaden Daniels will have another successful season. And I expect good things from the Commanders. And I think the addition of Debo Samuel is going to be a big deal for them. They also have Terry McLaurin, wide receiver, and other playmakers as well. So I'm expecting good things for the Commanders this season. All right, so another cool game that was interesting to check out this weekend was the game between the Tennessee Titans and Denver Broncos. So it was the rookie quarterback, number one overall pick, Cam Ward for the Titans versus Bo Nix for the Broncos. So that was definitely interesting matchup to watch. So for the Titans, Cam Ward, he went 12 for 28, 112 yards, zero touchdowns, and zero interceptions. And rushing, Tony Pollard had 18 carries for 60 yards. And receiving, Calvin Ridley had four receptions for 27 yards. And for the Broncos, Bo Nix went 25 for 40 for 176 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. And receiving, Cortland Sutton had six receptions for 61 yards with one touchdown. All right, so this again was interesting just to watch a couple of young quarterbacks go head to head. Cam Ward, he didn't have the best game, but it is his first game in the NFL regular season. Um, he made some nice plays, but he also had some mistakes, um, which I'm sure he's going to learn from. So we'll see how Cam Ward continues to develop going this season. But I don't expect the Titans to be very good this season. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and we'll see if that does happen. For the Denver Broncos, everybody's saying that they're going to have a very good season. A lot of people are hyping them up and are bullish on the Broncos. Um, I think their head coach is really good. Sean Payton, Bo Nix is really good. They're supposed to have one of the better defenses in the NFL. So I think the Denver Broncos will be a very good team this season. Bo Nix should have a solid year as well as he continues to develop in his career. So I think the Denver Broncos will have a successful season this year. We had a big matchup in the NFC West division between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. So this was a game, Brock Purdy versus Sam Darnold. So let's see how things went. So in this one, the 49ers got the win 17-13. And for the 49ers, Brock Purdy went 26 for 35. He had 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Christian McCaffrey had 22 carries for 69 yards. And receiving, Ricky Pearsall had 4 receptions for 108 yards. And for the Seahawks, their new quarterback, Sam Darnold, he went 16 for 23, 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And as far as receiving, Jackson and Jigba had 9 receptions for 124 yards. And their new wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, had 2 receptions for 15 yards. So this was an interesting game to check out. Um, these are two good teams in the NFC. So for the 49ers, I wanted to see what Brock Purdy would look like. So he was kind of 50-50 in this one. He had the 2 touchdowns, but he also had the 2 interceptions. So probably like an average game for him. The 49ers defense looked really good. I was impressed by them. Robert Saleh is the defensive coordinator again for the 49ers. So they're going to be one of the best defenses this year, probably. It was good to see Christian McCaffrey back. He's been injured a lot these last few years. So it was good to watch him play again and get some good rushing yards. He's one of the best running backs in the league. And this was a nice win for the 49ers coming back and getting a win over the Seahawks. For the Seahawks, I thought they were interesting because I wanted to see how Sam Darnold would look and play for the Seahawks. So he had a good season last year with the Vikings. So I don't know if that was a one-off or if he's going to repeat that same type of performance this year. So we'll see how Sam Darnold does going forward. This was just an okay game for him. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he didn't have any interceptions either. So just an average game by him. And also, I was interested to see their new wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, the former Los Angeles Ram. He's one of the better wide receivers in the league. So I think he's going to be a big help for Sam Darnold. So we'll see how the Seahawks play going forward. I don't think they're going to be that good of a team this season. I think they're just going to be average, probably not make the playoffs. That's my expectation at least. But I think the 49ers definitely have a good chance of making the playoffs and making things interesting. But just week one so far, 49ers get a nice win within their division. And we'll see what they do next week. So we had a big game between two bitter rivals. So the Detroit Lions played the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers got the win in this one, 27-13. So this was Jared Goff versus Jordan Love, two good quarterbacks, but Jordan Love got the W. Let's take a look at the numbers. So Jordan Goff, he went 31 for 39, 225 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Rushing, not very good by the Lions. David Montgomery, 11 carries for 25 yards. Receiving, Sam Laporta had 6 receptions for 79 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 receptions for 45 yards. For the Packers, Jordan Love went 16 for 22, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushing, Josh Jacobs had 19 carries for 66 yards with a touchdown. Receiving, Romeo Doubs had 2 receptions for 68 yards. Jaden Reed, 3 receptions for 45 yards with a touchdown. And their rookie wide receiver, Matthew Golden, had 2 receptions for 16 yards. So, good game here by the Packers. So, this is definitely an interesting game to watch. The Detroit Lions had a very good season last year, but as a result of that, their defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, both got new head coaching jobs. So that was a big loss for the Lions. And I think it kind of looked that way in this game. You could tell that something was off with the Lions. They just didn't play like they did last season. So it was just a very disappointing game by the Lions. I don't know if this is just a one off or if this is going to continue, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions have a really bad season if they go from best to worst this season. But I'm hoping that's not the case. And hopefully, this is just one game. So for the Packers, this was definitely an interesting game to watch for a lot of different reasons. Jordan Love, quarterback for the Packers, had a good game. He looked sharp. Josh Jacobs, their running back, looked good as well. And their newly acquired pass rusher, Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys, he played in this game. So I was definitely interested to watch him to see if he would make a difference and see if the Packers defense looks better. So Micah Parsons didn't have too much impact in this game until the very end, where the game was kind of already sealed, but he did get a nice sack on Jared Goff to seal the game. So it was a nice debut for Micah Parsons for the Packers. And we'll see if Micah gets better game by game. And we'll see how many sacks he has at the end of the season. We had a matchup between the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. So this was a game between CJ Stroud and Matthew Stafford. The Rams pulled out the win 14-9. So not a very high scoring game in this one. And let's take a look at some of the numbers. So for the Texans, CJ Stroud, he went 19 for 27, 188 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. As far as rushing, Nick Chubb had 13 carries for 60 yards. And as far as receiving for the Texans, a lot of different players had multiple receptions. So Stroud was spreading the ball around nicely. For the Rams, Matthew Stafford, 21 for 29, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Rushing, Kyron Williams had 18 carries for 66 yards with a touchdown. Receiving for the Rams, Puka Nacua, 10 receptions, 130 yards. The newly acquired Davante Adams had 4 receptions with 51 yards. All right. So this was a cool game to check out as well. CJ Stroud, a very good quarterback for the Houston Texans. I wanted to see how he would play in his first game. So they only scored 9 points, and he kind of had a bad game with only 188 yards, zero touchdowns. He had one interception. So, not a very good game by CJ Stroud. I'm sure this is just a one off, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back nicely in the coming weeks. And for the Rams, I was interested to watch this game just because Matthew Stafford is really good. He's one of the older quarterbacks in the league, and I just think his game looks very good. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. He's had a back issue in the preseason, so it was nice to see him play in game one, and hopefully he stays healthy the whole season. Also, it was cool to watch Devontae Adams play with Matthew Stafford. So both of those guys are older and towards the end of their careers, but maybe the two of them can make some magic happen in the NFL, just like Devontae Adams did with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Maybe Devontae and Matthew Stafford can have a little bit of a renaissance as well. So I think the Rams are going to be one of the better teams this year. Also, Houston, I think, is going to be very good. Um, so I think both of these teams are playoff bound. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. So we saved the best game for last. So on Sunday Night Football, we had probably one of the best games that I've seen lately. And it was a matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. So you had two of the best quarterbacks in the AFC going against each other. Lamar Jackson of the Ravens versus Josh Allen of the Bills. So it was must see TV. It was like a playoff game preview, and it definitely did not disappoint. So as you can see, the score on here 41-40. So this game was full of fireworks, full of drama, full of lead changes, and just a lot of craziness. So again, definitely one of the best games that I've seen lately. Um, I don't think the Super Bowl is going to be able to top this game, but you never know. So this is why I love the NFL. It's because of games like this, and this was only week one, so unbelievable. But I love the game. So let's take a look at some of the numbers here. So for the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he went 14 for 19, 209 yards passing, two passing touchdowns. And as far as rushing, Lamar Jackson had 6 carries for 70 yards and a rushing touchdown. So he had a total of, looks like, 3 touchdowns. Also, Derrick Henry had 18 carries and 169 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And as far as receiving, Zay Flowers had 7 receptions for 143 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown. And next, let's take a look at the Bills. So Josh Allen, he went 33 for 46, 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. As far as rushing, Josh Allen had 14 carries for 30 yards with 2 touchdowns. James Cook had 13 carries for 44 yards and one touchdown. And receiving for the Bills, Keon Coleman had 8 receptions for 111 yards with one touchdown. So, as you can see, a lot of players for the Bills had amazing games. Josh Allen looks like had a total of 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 rushing. He almost had 400 yards. So, this was honestly, it might be the best game I've seen. If not, it's right up there for sure. So the Ravens, they had a nice lead towards the end of the game. I think they were up by 15, or I know it was at least 2 touchdowns. And it just looked like the game was going to come to an end. It looked like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were going to run the clock out and get the win, but that's not how it went down. So Derrick Henry for the Ravens had a big fumble loss. The Bills recovered, and then from there, they scored a touchdown and eventually got a win over the Ravens. So I'm sure the Ravens are extremely disappointed. They thought they had the game in the bag, but it's not over until the clock hits zero. So that's how it is in the NFL with these explosive quarterbacks. It's really never over. I mean, they can score a touchdown in 20, 30, 40 seconds if need be. So, and also the Bills got some needed stops at the very end and got the ball back from the Ravens. So I was very, very impressed by the Buffalo Bills that they were able to come back. But I think this is still like a very close matchup between these two teams. If they played again, either one could win. So I don't think like this game really says too much about either team. Like that one is better than the other. Next game around, the Ravens could win. So it's just they're very evenly matched teams, and I think they're definitely going to be two of the best teams in the NFL going forward. So can't wait to watch these teams next week, and we'll see what happens there. All right. So the last game that we're going to talk about is the matchup that's going to happen tonight on Monday Night Football. And that's going to be between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. So it's going to be JJ McCarthy of the Vikings versus Caleb Williams of the Bears. So two young quarterbacks going head to head. JJ McCarthy of the Vikings, he's making his first start for them, his debut. So I'm definitely interested to see how he's going to play. And for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams is entering his second season. And I'm definitely excited to watch Caleb play and see if he improves from last season. So for the Vikings, they're supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC. They have a good defense, and I like their head coach, Kevin O'Connell. So they went with this quarterback change. So last year they had Sam Darnold, and this year they deciding to go with JJ McCarthy. They think he's going to be their quarterback of the future. So I'm definitely interested to see how McCarthy plays, if he is good, if he's a long term solution for the Vikings. So definitely intriguing team to watch. They have Justin Jefferson, the amazing wide receiver. They added Adam Thielen, who was a former Viking. So he's coming back to Minnesota. So that'll be cool to watch. And for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams didn't have the best rookie season last year. He's got a new head coach, Ben Johnson, who's supposed to be a offensive wizard. So I'm definitely interested to see how those two are going to match up, what the offense is going to look like for the Bears. So I think they might be one of the more exciting teams to watch in the NFL this season. As far as my pick for this game, it's going to be tough. I honestly think that the Vikings are a better team, so I expect the Vikings to win tonight. But I think I'm going to be rooting for the Bears and Caleb Williams just because I like Caleb Williams better than JJ McCarthy so far from what I'm seeing. So I think the Vikings win and are a better team, but I'm going to be rooting for the Chicago Bears tonight. And that'll officially wrap up NFL Week 1. All right, guys. So that's all I wanted to cover for today. So that takes care of NFL Week 1. We saw some great games, we saw some great performances, and we had some great discussion about all the different activity. If you guys found value in this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. And again, I'm going to make a video after each NFL week, and we'll continue the fun. See you guys next time.